have a bakery, and a worldwide shipping right. I can deliver as many cookies and ice cream as you desire once you voted for Coconut 2020.
Wilbur was not very happy about Fundy trying to undermine the system and join the election the day it would happen. Because of this, he attempted to send Coconut 2020 away and keep them off the ballot. However, the people wanted differently. And so, swaying to the judgment of the people, Wilbur added Coconut 2020 to the ballot. Things were not exactly going according to plan. What started as an attempt to gain more power has now put Wilbur and Tommy at risk of losing all the power they had. But little did they know it was about to get worse.
Taste of real Italian coffee, please. What is a real Italian coffee? Cappuccino.
Ready? Yes, Lavazza. Oh, it's never been so Italian with our ready-to-drink iced cappuccino and no espresso with milk. Lavazza.
A lot worse. Next up, the parties would reveal their endorsements.
My one endorsement is KSI. He just hasn't happened to respond yet to my endorsement tweet. But he's my one endorsement. KSI and Lord Jesus Christ. Years of acting and a general message presence, I finally got who we needed on our side to turn probably just the entire world around.
Me and Tommy have had our differences in the past.
Oh my God.
I'm a firm supporter of 2020. I have every reason to support him. I've got my endorsement. Here he comes. The one, the only.
Jay Schlatt, a comedian, a man of business, but behind all lies a calculated man. Life is a chess game for Schlatt, and he has no intention of losing at any cost. He is confident, charismatic, and ruthless. Give him control, he will control everything. Give him a drink, it'll take him 3 seconds. Give him a podium, and he'll rule the world. This was not Schlatt's first time on the S&P. He had made a cameo for one of Tommy's videos shortly after the disc saga, but was then quickly banned by Dream, who had no idea Schlatt had joined. But now, he was back, and had no intention of endorsing anyone but himself.
Democracy is overrated. Whoa, wait, no, hold on. Yeah, that's right. That's right. You think you need a president? You think you need... I'll be my own president. You think you need one quackity as your president? Yeah. You think you want Wilbur? I'll run my own president. No. This isn't the end of my presidency.
Everything was going downhill, and fast. Dream endorsed Schlatt and proceeded to give him his crossbow. After Tommy was shot, everyone in the podium retreated to the White House and hid from Schlatt. After their blockade was repeatedly broken, the three knew they had to escape and broke out through the walls. After Tommy and Schlatt both died, Wilbur knew there was no point in continuing the rally and decided to drop the ballot. In doing so, he knew he had no choice but to include both Coconut 2020 and Schlatt 2020 to keep the integrity of the election. The votes began flooding in. Tommy and Wilbur sat on the edge of their seats as thousands of their viewers voted who they wanted to win. The future of Lemander was left entirely up to the audience. With the reality of their chance of losing becoming very real, Tommy and Wilbur attempted to make a backdoor deal with Platinum. In the event that Schlatt 2020 or With no endorsements and no vice president, he was dead in the water. They both knew there was no way Swag would be Hog, and so when Wilbur refused to make their agreement unconditional, Quackity refused the deal. But he wouldn't give up on the election that easily. He knew that if nothing was done, Hog would win the election and everything he fought for would be for nothing. And so, Quackity offered a similar deal to Schlatt. Swag Party would give all of their votes to Schlatt 2020 on the condition that Quackity would be his vice president. Without hesitation, Schlatt agreed. And with that, all they could do was wait. The future of Lomandra in the hands of the people. Tommy and Wilbur had faith that the people would come through for their party. But that didn't stop the sinking feeling that maybe, just maybe, this would be the end. The next day, the results were in. 220,000 people had voted, and today, the winner of the election would be announced. Everyone from all across the server gathered at the podium to hear the news. The candidates met on the stage, and Wilbur explained what would happen. Today, they would not just find out who won the election, but also inaugurate them immediately. Upon inauguration, the new leader would then announce their first decree as president. Within 15 minutes, Lomandra would have their new president, and a new era would begin. Wilbur began the proclamation by announcing disqualified votes. By removing votes with the same IP address, Wilbur was able to account for any possible cheating or fake votes. In total, there were 120,000 of these votes, the majority of which came from Token 2020, who just so happened to have a coding YouTuber as their party head. Anyway, after that was sorted out, Wilbur began revealing the results.
With 9% of the vote, 20,000 people or so. In fourth place is Coconut 2020. Yeah! With 16% of the vote, coming in third place is Schlatt 2020. In second place, with 30% of the popular vote, led by the party leader, Quackity, Swag 2020. Meaning that the winner of the popular vote by 45% is Pog 2020, led by me. 2 nights ago on the night of the election, Quackity made a deal. No matter what happens, Quackity would pool Swag 2020 votes on with Schlatt 2020 votes. Pog 2020 got 45% of the popular vote, meaning that the coalition government of Schlatt and Swag 2020 got 46% of the vote. Meaning that tonight, Schlatt 2020 has been inaugurated.
Schlatt, having been on the server for less than 24 hours, now rule all of Lomandra. Wilbur and Tommy sat in shock as the nation they fought for, the nation they built from the ground up, the nation they loved, slipped through their fingers into the cold hands of Schlatt. Wilbur and Tommy left the podium and went to take a seat in the crowd. And Schlatt, now the second most powerful man on the server, gave his first decree as president of Lomandra.
Well, that was pretty easy. And you know what I said? The day I got unbanned from the Dream SMP, I looked every citizen of Lomandra in the eyes and I said, you listen to me, this place will be a lot different tomorrow. Let's start making it happen. My first decree as the president of Lomandra, the Emperor, is to revoke the certificate of Wilbur and Tommy in it.
There was no time to think. From leaders of a nation to enemies of the state within seconds, if Tommy and Wilbur wanted to make it out alive, they had to run. And run they did. Wilbur drank an invisibility potion, but it was no use. Meanwhile, Tommy made a break for Lomandra, managing to escape through an underground tunnel Tubbo had built earlier. home, they thought about what this meant. They had put everything on the line for Lemamber, gave their lives for Lemamber. And now they were forced to run from their creation, betrayed by their own nation. They built their new home in a small hill a few hundred blocks away from civilization. They had to start over. Having only some tools, armor, and a few random items, Tommy and Wilbur hit rock bottom. But then, Schlatt announced he would be giving another speech. Helpless and alone, all Wilbur and Tommy could do was listen, as the nation they once loved crumbled before them.
The sun rises over another beautiful day in our country. I reckon our nation needs to expand. I reckon we've done our country a great disservice. I reckon we take down the walls. You can't do that. What? All citizens remember. Required. Stop. Tear down the walls of this country. Thus ends the second presidential speech. Let's get to it.
The walls. The very walls that protected Lemamber since the day it was born would be taken down by its own citizens. Wilbur and Tommy could not help themselves and traveled back to watch. As they sat on a nearby hill, their nation's borders fell before their eyes. Wilbur was destroyed. Lemamber was destroyed from the day he dreamed of in the span of 30 minutes. That dream was crushed and broken. When Wilbur and Tommy arrived back at their base, Wilbur exclaimed that he was a slow-burning fuse, and over the next few weeks, he would become a much different man than the one Jay Schlatt crossed. Tommy, meanwhile, had already come up with a plan. Both of them knew that just the two of them would not be enough to put up a fight against the new Lemamber. But Tommy had a trick up his sleeve. An old friend, when the time they needed it most, stepped up and offered a hand. For once since their banishment, Tommy and Wilbur would have something Lemamber couldn't. Tommy and Wilbur had the blade. Technoblade. Legend has it he can take down an entire army with only 2 other men. Legend has it he once spent 9 months farming potatoes to bully a guy he didn't even know. Legend has it he once entered 1,500 battles and won every single one of them. Legend has it he can kill Trina. After hiding in the shadows and watching the events of the election unfold, Technoblade saw an opportunity. Being an anarchist, Techno looked for any opportunity to abolish government. And seeing hatred in Wilbur's eyes as the Lemamber walls tumbled to the ground, he knew this was his chance. Together, Tommy, Wilbur, and Technoblade would build up their new base in a ravine underground. Keeping it a secret from everyone on the other side, they hoped to grow their arsenal right under Schlatt's nose. And when the time came, they knew they had to regain control of Lemamber at any cost. After Technoblade was escorted by Tommy to their base, Schlatt gave his second presidential speech. In this speech, he announced he would be changing the name of Lemamber to Member. Everything their nation stood for, every trace of Wilbur and Tommy, was now gone. And the preparation for war began. Tommy, Wilbur, and Technoblade began by naming their new home Pogtopia. Just a few minutes later, Tommy stumbled across his old strip mine, meaning they now had a direct underground path to Manburg. And no one else knew. By the next day, Technoblade, who according to himself stayed up all night, had created a large potato farm to supply Pogtopia with food. And Wilbur managed to convince Tubba, a member of Schlatt's cabinet, to become a spy for them. Within a few weeks from their banishment, the resistance continued to build. Technoblade gathered weapons. Tubbo informed Wilbur of all of Manberg's plans, and the path to Manberg continued to expand. Pogtopia flourished and was almost ready for war. They just needed the right time to strike. The nation of Manberg had changed a lot in this time. Office buildings arose, the Manberg flag was burned, and in its place sprouted a new flag, the Manberg flag. On the surface, things in Manberg looked to be going smoothly, but deep down, Schlatt knew it was already falling apart. Word of a rebellion caught wind in the streets of Manberg. A secret group of people plotting to take down Schlatt. The rumored Pogtopia, to Schlatt's dismay, was not hated by the people, but seen as a force of good to save them from his ruthless rule. Many citizens attempted to help the rebellion by offering supplies and information. Schlatt, not wanting to lose any more people than he already had, could not stop them. But he could turn them back. As a last resort to save his dying country, Schlatt decided to throw a celebration. A celebration of the new changes he had enacted as president, and a celebration of Manberg. He had announced the Manberg Festival. This was their chance to show Manberg how powerful Pogtopia truly was, their chance to scare Schlatt out of power, their chance to take back Manberg. But Wilbur had changed his mind. The betrayal from his own people, the destruction of everything he worked for, was starting to take a toll on him. On the day of their banishment, Wilbur had said that he was a slow-burning fuse, and would soon be a much different man than the one Schlatt had crossed. And now, more than ever, that fuse grew ever closer to an explosion. After the announcement of the festival, both Wilbur and Tommy knew this was a huge opportunity for them. But Wilbur couldn't shake the dark feeling. The festival was good. Everything Schlatt had done was completely legal. And yet, they still wanted to ruin it with their rebellion. Were they in the wrong? Were their actions justified? None of it mattered. Nothing changed the fact that Wilbur, after weeks of hiding away, had not made it any closer to getting back Manberg. As the days passed, so did the nation he once loved. His unfinished symphony. A new plan began to come together for Wilbur. Losing all hope of gaining back control, Wilbur chose destruction. After all, he created that nation. It was his. If the people can stab him in the back, betray the very founder of the land in which they lived, why can't he do the same? If he can't have it, no one can. This was the new plan. Since the beginning of Pogtopia, a secret supporter fed them supplies and an offer of help whenever needed. An old enemy, Dream. The leader of the nation of the Greater Dream SMP was not much of a fan of Schlatt's ambition. Wilbur had every intention of keeping Manberg inside its walls and living peacefully. But when Schlatt became president, he immediately tore down the walls and began to expand. Seeing this as a potential threat, Dream secretly offered to help Pogtopia, to take down Schlatt before conflict arose between Dream SMP and Manberg. Wilbur, looking for a way to blow up the entirety of Manberg, sought Dream's help to supply him the firepower to do so. But before he talked with Dream, he explained his plan to Tommy, his right-hand man and partner since the beginning. But Tommy could not go through with it. He still had hope of getting back Manberg. He still had hope that things could go back to how they'd been before. He didn't want to be